crispy.
Fridge cigarette.
Delicious.
Oh,
Friggerette.
Ooh.
dude, calling this a fridge cigarette was the coolest thing you ever told me.
I feel like I'm about to play PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like Saturday, mid kind of morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my PlayStation out. I'm going to play like fucking Dave Mirra.
Dave Mirra. Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot. Some fucking...
Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, you're such a Ratchet and Clank guy. You're the only person I know that's a Ratchet and Clank guy.
I also really like Sly Raccoon.
Yeah, that was the other one. I was like a Nintendo kid. So
Yeah.
it was, I always found when I was young, before Xbox existed,
Yeah.
your family either had a Nintendo 64 or you had a PS1, unless
Yeah.
you were rich, and then I probably didn't know you. Or
Yeah, I had
associate with
Nintendo
you.
friends, and then I was a PlayStation kid, and then I didn't have any like Sega like friends.
Weirdos, homeschooled.
Yeah, it was always like Nintendo, PlayStation. You fell on that spectrum somewhere.
So I was playing like Pokemon Stadium or like Mortal Kombat. That's pretty much where it ended for me.
Okay, nice.
Or Resident Evil on PS1 on my friends. That scared the shit out of me
Oh
though.
yeah, Resident Evil, like the OG Resident
Yeah,
Evil,
it was
like
fucking terrifying, bro. I was like 6 years old watching these dudes getting eaten. I was like, this sucks. I hate this.
You know what game I thought about the other day, which is like so of its time? Fucking Abe's Odyssey.
Yes. The fucking noises he makes and shit.
Where like there was a button for him to fart.
Yeah, dude, that was so
Incredible.
like Y2K Nickelodeon slime era. Yeah.
My first access to that game was I was a Jehovah's Witness when I was a kid.
Oh my god.
So I
okay.
wasn't allowed video games, but my uncle was like a tech nerd.
Right.
And he had a PlayStation 1 with like this disc with heaps of games on it.
Yeah.
And Abe's Odyssey was like one of the first selections. And because he's a Jehovah's Witness, the themes and just the way that game is, he just did not let me play. So I'm like this 4-year-old sneaking into like...
It's like, this is too subversive.
Yeah.
What is it like? Was it
They're like-
Oddworld?
yeah, Oddworld. And they're like, what was the plot of that game was like they were grinding them up to make meat because they were running out of their meat supply or some shit like that.
It was like very like politically subversive. It was like, they're the food and they're like making burgers of themselves.
Oh, it's so fucking crazy.
While old mates farting on on the gangways and stuff.
Absolutely. And Jehovah says no.
Yeah. Jehovah says no. On the note about like getting video games, so I had a friend in primary school. His dad was like a kind of like hippie nerd guy. Like he was like the first guy I remember like smoking weed. And he had like a little like cabinet out the back in the shed that we weren't allowed to touch, but he was definitely had a little hydro guy in there. And he was like growing his own weed and stuff. But he was a computer engineer for Honeywell. And he cracked my friend Liam's PlayStation so that we would go to like the video store, get games, and then like burn them and then make like ghetto copies. And he had like 400 like PlayStation games. Like it was so sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude.
As like a country kid, I was like, this is crazy. Like you can do this. And he's like, well, you're not supposed to do this, but you can do this.
I remember I had a friend and you had to take, because I grew up in the country as well, like regional Victoria.
Yeah.
We're all
Queensland.
country boys.
What's up?
Yeah, there we go.
Regional WA.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey,
Shit. So
country
like,
boys on
the
the pod.
most bogan of all right here at this table.
Look at us now.
Yeah, I know, right? And then the thing was you had to take your PS2 physically down to the Vic market. And there was just some guy there that would like do a chip. like,
Out of the back of the truck or
yeah,
something?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
yeah. That's
So
so
like
sick.
I'd go in there and he'd be like, "Yeah, I got the new Dragon Ball Z game." I'm like, holy shit, dude.
With a big like leather jacket.
Yeah,
He's
like, check out my
get in
wares,
there.
dude. It's just all PlayStation 2 games.
Boys.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. I'm Owen, and we have Alex and
Hey,
Toby from Melancholia joining us. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us, man. Stoked to be here. Thank you for the Diet Cokes, Crispy DC, the official drink of, I wouldn't say of Melancholia because Josh and Mace and Billy are staunchly Coke Zero.
Oh, I can't do it.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's just not right.
2 of the 5.
Two of the
like,
5.
Not quite a majority vote, but you're getting there.
I get an
But we've
extra
got
vote
hands.
because I write the fucking music.
Oh, okay.
Nah,
Contentious.
nah. But look,
Wouldn't
Diet
that-
Coke does win.
But wouldn't that be a deadlock then? Isn't that three to 3?
You know what? It's actually a pretty like egalitarian band, I'd say. Like,
Okay.
I wouldn't say that we're like I'm like sitting here calling the shots. It's like, hey, I got this idea, guys, and everyone's usually just like, yeah, sick. it's usually just chill. Diet Coke is something that me and Toby are pretty staunch about. It fucking rocks. It's a fridge cigarette. Yum.
Yes.
It's recently changed my life.
Really? How so?
Yeah.
It was just
It,
before we went to
it
Euro.
brings me joy and uplifts me when I've had an awful day.
Okay. That's how I feel about coffee.
Yeah.
I know that's very Melbourne to be like, coffee is like my life.
Coffee does
But
rule.
like, it fucking rocks.
We had a sick
Like,
coffee on the way here. We went, I live next door to like Smith and Deli.
Oh,
So we
great.
just stopped in, grabbed a coffee real quick, and yeah, but this Diet Coke's following it up nice and
And
crisp.
a doughy.
And a doughy, yeah, their donuts rule.
We're just munching donuts in the car.
Yeah,
I'm
he had to
jealous.
fucking. Well, dude, the reason I messaged you, we were running 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
We like pulled up at these lights, and there's just this car in front of us with the hazards on, and like cars driving past, tooting their horn. Like something happened to her car. Toby gets out of his car and helps push it across the fucking road.
What a gentleman.
Yeah, I know. But while that's happening, I'm like, oh, I better message it. I'm like sitting there messaging and shit like
She
that.
couldn't get there was something going on in the dash, and it's like one of the newer Volkswagens.
Right.
And the computer's just like not making it easy for her to take the park brake off.
Ah.
So there's two other people who'd come across, and we're trying to push her and trying to explain it how she takes
Yeah.
the park brake off and puts it in neutral. And that itself took 10 minutes. That
Yeah,
was-
I was just sitting in the car, fucking vaping and listening to Conjurer.
Was she like an elderly lady?
No,
Or, like-
she was like in her 20s or something.
Okay.
She looked about my age, I'd say. Yeah.
I was just picturing you in your dapper kind of wares, like just rolling up and being like, "G'day, love. Can I help you with that? Can I help you with the
window with a
gas?"
ciggy in his mouth? He was just sitting there. He's like, yeah.
But that is very
Country.
gentlemanly, very country.
Country,
of you.
yeah.
Yes, your country came
Soul
out.
of the earth people, you know?
What's good, boys? What have you been up to? What's the plan for the weekend?
Shit.
Apart from this, obviously.
You got stuff on. I'm fucking gonna go clean the house when I get home. And I'll probably
I just cleaned the entire house before you
it's-
guys
it's
got
like-
here.
And it
so-
looks stunning.
Thank
does.
you.
It's
Cheers.
a lovely house. And you know what is weird as you get older? You really appreciate a clean house. Like just
much.
I am never more at peace than when my house is entirely clean.
It's the best.
It is. It's so good. Now sit down, crack a Diet Coke, watch fucking whatever horror movie my girlfriend has decided we're watching that's from YouTube and really weird and avant-garde, and then that's it. That's my day. That's my night.
Sounds like bliss.
That's probably what I'm doing. I've got to hand you in a bunch of graphics actually that I haven't done.
Always working.
You got
Always
way
grinding.
more interesting Saturday than me.
Yeah, I'm going to the Melting Show tonight.
I am
Melting
also
sh-
going to the Melting Show.
Shout out the Melting
I'll
Boys.
see
They
you
fucking
there.
rule.
Beautiful. Well, the guys in Blood Command, because I used to play in Drown
Blood
the
Command?
City. No,
mean
Blood
Blood Oath?
Command.
Blood Oath?
Sorry, I'm so
Blood Command,
logged
friend of
on.
the
Yeah,
show.
yeah. My apologies. Blood Oath. That's embarrassing.
It
to
is
say, actually.
funny
Yeah.
because you are actually very good friends with
Yeah,
those
yeah, that's-
people.
yeah. I used to play in Drown the City with Renge and
Right.
Alex, the drummer. So, and their music video, they used like one of my spare basses that I've got.
I see.
Yeah. They were very nice to put me on the door because I didn't get a ticket in time before it sold out. And then on tour, I was trying to weasel my way in with the Melting guys going, I didn't get a ticket.
Can you hook a brother up? Like,
And
what's
they were
going
just
on?
like, oh, that sucks, man.
Yeah. I was like,
I
damn.
definitely could have got a door spot, but like, because like Chris, Deaf Chris, friend of the show,
Yeah, yeah.
like Gravitator playing, and then we had the Melting Boys on the show, had Allison on the show. So like,
Allison
it,
rules.
it's like a full like mates fest. But I was like, no, I'm just gonna buy a ticket because I reckon that shit's gonna
it's that
sell
support
out.
thing too.
And
as
it
well.
sold out.
You feel
like,
better.
like straight away, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good. I feel good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a sick show. I'm pumped.
I should be going to it, but I'm not.
gonna.
Let's have a Diet Coke together, Toby.
Fantastic. I don't really drink anymore, so that's exactly what we should
Okay,
be doing.
beautiful.
I might get a little bit violent in the pit. I might come out of some pit retirement.
Ooh.
Just
I saw you
just
do
for
it
the game.
for melting.
Yeah.
In
Warrnambool.
The poor fuckers. That the
Of all places.
the venue people, the people at the venue, right? They got the door. They didn't want to open the doors until 7:30 on the dot, but that was also when Melting were slotted to play. It was supposed to open at 7, Melting play at 7:30.
Okay.
And-
That's always rough when they open the doors and you're like playing to a literal empty room.
Dude, we
Brutal.
did it over in like, I think it was like Birmingham last time we were there in the UK, and it was just like across the other side of the world playing to 5 people. Like, but the thing is, like, once the doors open, obviously it fills out. But for the first song and a half, Melting were playing to like us, and it sucked. But I just see Toby just spinning around the room. I'm like, fuck, I haven't seen that in a minute. The last time I saw that was I was on the receiving end of your fist because I was like, have you ever heard of Splatterpuss?
No.
Okay, so our drummer Mason was in a brutal death metal band
Okay.
with our friend Matt Turkington. Jace from the Red Shore was in it.
Nice.
It was like ex-members of I Exalt and
Okay.
like all that. Anyway, it was brutal death metal. It was hectic, and it was the last time I can specifically remember being like, you know what, I'm going to fucking dust it off. I'm going to go in the pit. It's been a minute. Start fucking like swinging my arms or whatever. And the next thing I see is just Toby coming at me. Straight in the fucking eye. Immediately I was like, not built for this anymore. Walk straight back out of the pit. So you were the reason I'm in pit retirement.
Shout out the Bendigo Hotel.
Oh, God. It's always the bendy, I swear.
Always the bendy. Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I was in like a proper pit. It would be at least a decade.
Dude,
And I'm like 37.
it's
so-
like at the point now, we're all in our 30s. Like, it could be disastrous
Yeah.
if we go in the pit for just a second.
Oh, for sure. Like, it would put me out of business for like a week.
Yeah.
I had like
Absolutely.
a too vigorous walk, and I'm like,
I should have stretched before
what's
that.
going on with
You'll
that?
see me. I'll pull something in my back after like half a track. You'll see.
Okay.
We'll get some fists in for the boys.
It's an in and out type thing. Yeah.
Boys, thank you for coming in. I think let's talk about the crazy kind of like 18 months that the band has had. So you put out your debut record in 2023, and then you've pretty much been on the road like non-stop
Yeah.
since. So kind of walk me through that. Alex, you're kind of the mastermind behind the whole project, as far as I understand. What was it like to kind of hit execute, drop that record, and then just like be flat tack the whole way?
It was kind of planned to be that way.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a surprise that it actually, it kind of surpassed like what I was expecting in terms of how
Sure.
busy we'd be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those things where it was just, we made sure that before that album dropped, we had everything ready to go, and we
Yeah.
made sure we had the right team behind us. And it kind of was just like, as soon as it dropped, it was just like, go, go, go. Like we randomly, it was probably like on a month and a bit notice, got offered our first show, which was The Artist Murder, sold out.
The Decade of
Yeah, it was
Hate
like
tour?
the
Yeah.
second show they put on for that at 170, and it was
Hell
like,
of a first show.
yeah, and it was like, what? I don't know the cap room of that. It was something like 800 people there, first show. And it was like, we've all been in bands before. We've all done it. We've all played big shows before and, you know, this and that. But it was still just like, shit, this is our first show. We're playing to like 800 people, and it was like Thy Art, Justice, Starve, and us. So that was like the first taste of things. This was a week out from us announcing that we had signed a Nuclear Blast.
Wow.
We dropped our first single back in 2022 midway, and we were getting ready to drop the second single, and we had been picked up by management, which was at the time Matt Van Duppen from Thornhill. He
Yeah.
was working for Future History Management. We got picked up by that, and he'd got us into some conversations. We had like he'd sort of like spoken to Greyscale a bit at length about the record. I'd spoken to Josh a bit, and Josh was pretty interested. We were back and forth for a few like talks with things, and we went, all right, let's just drop this next single and then we'll see where we go. And it
Yeah.
turns out, as we're about to drop it, he goes, Nuclear Blast have come to the table. And we were all like, shit, put everything on hold.
Yeah.
So then it was 6 months of lawyers and, you know, the nitty gritty stuff. you have
Ironing
to do.
out all the business shit.
Yeah, the not fun stuff,
Yeah.
and basically just waiting for email responses. So we kind of dropped this single, and then out of nowhere, we hadn't even posted in like a couple of months because we were like, we'll just wait, we'll just make sure everything's ready to go. And then all of a sudden, like Marshy, I think, messaged Alessio and said, "Oi, do you know the Melancholia boys? See if they want to open." And he just is like, "Hey, do you want to play this show?" And we're like, "Yeah, fuck oath."
Yeah,
So
sick.
we had just done our first rehearsal the week before, and then we had like a month and a bit to get ready for the show.
Yeah.
Did that, and then the next show was us direct supporting Gravemind, like at Stay Gold, nearly sold out show again. We're like,
Friends of the
"Fuck."
show.
Exactly, right? And it was just moving really quickly. And then, you know, we'd announced that we'd signed a Nuclear Blast. There was a fair bit of buzz around us. We dropped this album, and then it's like, you know, friends in To The Grave were like, "Yo, we're doing a headline run. You want to jump on this?" I'm like, "Yeah, fucking oath we do. We love the To The Grave boys." So we jumped on that. And then the next thing after that is we had M from Destroy Alliance show up to the Melbourne show of that tour.
Yeah.
And was like, "Hey, like pretty interested in your band. Here's what I've got on the cards." And one of those things was supporting cattle decapitation in Fallujah.
Oh, I guess we can.
Yeah, it was
Sure.
like, yeah, you know, I reckon I got time for cattle decapitation. So, and then like that sort of just like locked us in there. As soon as we did that, it kind of opened us up to this world, I guess, of internationally touring rather than
Yeah.
just like, oh, this is a band that plays around Australia. It was like, okay, so they're doing international supports. You would assume that they are pretty keen to get overseas.
Yeah.
And we did that, and then next thing you know, we've got Froth and Fury Fest in our DMs, and that was at this time we'd been playing without a bass player, and me and Toby have been playing in bands together for like 10 years, been best mates for like 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
And at the time, it just didn't really line up when I'd started Melancholia. Toby was doing Drown This City, and he had a few other bands in the works. Xenobiotic rocks, one of the best bands in Australia. And it just didn't really time. So like we had a different bass player at the start, and we flicked that bass player off for reasons. And then it got to this point where me and Toby were like catching up more and more because we hadn't seen each other in ages. And it just kind of got to the point, it's like, why aren't you in the band? You should just be in the band. And then we went, all right, we've got Froth and Fury. Do you want to try out, like, just do a show with us, see how it feels, see if you gel with the guys? Did that one show, massive crowd, playing at like 3, 4 p.m. Peak time to be playing to drunk people.
That's a good festival slot.
Especially when it's a festival like around beer.
Yeah.
That's a good time because they're not too drunk to not know what's going on.
They're loose, but they're not fucked.
Exactly right. So we played that. It goes off without a hitch. Next thing you know, Toby's officially in the band, but not officially announced.
Yeah.
He's been a part of Melancholia unofficially since then, in 2023.
Yeah.
So we do that, and then the next thing we have come through is we've been picked up by Avocado Bookings for Europe. And then next thing you know, we're offered our first Euro tour with Ingested, Fallujah, who we had just done a Australian tour with, which is pretty unheard of to do a back-to-back tour with an international band in a different country. Like, it doesn't usually happen.
Scheduling is kind of like...
It usually splits you up, right?
That never happens.
Like, we did that Oz tour, and I was like, damn, I'm not going to see those guys for ages. That sucks. They were really cool dudes. And then the next tour was like, oh, lol, what's up, guys? And so the next thing, we're on this bus with Ingested, Fallujah, and Vulvodynia for, like, it was like a 36-day tour. 33-day tour, 31 shows. We played, like, 12 shows without a day off, so that was a good introduction to like this is what international touring is. We smashed that out. We did quite well at the time. We were sort of in between management. We got on with Lynn from Ingested quite well. It turns out he is a manager of bands, and he was really interested in us, so we ended up signing on with Lynn, and he's through Unchained HQ, which is like Lorna Shore and Cattle and stuff like that. And
good pedigree.
Yeah,
good roster.
And it's like where you want to be, I guess,
sure.
in that genre. And then we've just been with Lynn ever since then. Last year, what did we do last year? We smashed out Vulvodynia Australian tour. That was your first official tour with us, which was a sick run. And then the next offer that came through was supporting Suffocation in Europe, that was crazy.
Huge.
Unfortunately, Toby sat that one out. It was just over as a 4-piece, which, God, I'm sick of playing as a 4-piece. And then we smashed that out. That was like Suffocation, Angel Maker, Fuming Mouth, who fucking rock, by the way.
Great band.
That's why I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
I just
Incredible
love
band.
Fuming Mouth.
So fucking sick.
I was not aware with their game. I was not I was like, oh yeah, everyone's talking about, like, Josh in our band was just like, we're taking that tour purely because Fuming Mouth is on that tour. And I was like, all right, sweet, we get there. And I'm like, yo, Fuming Mouth fucking rule, dude. And who else on that? Carcosa, which is our like, we've made quite good friends with those boys. Andrew Boehner, and that's Johnny from
He's like
Angel
the
Maker.
YouTube guy,
Yeah,
right?
I was not aware of his
I
game.
was the only guy in the band that really likes Andrew's stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm the gear nerd.
He's like OG guitar guy. Like,
Yeah,
for like nearly a decade,
Yeah,
probably.
He's got like a million followers type shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I did not know who he was walking into that tour. We were at the hotel before we took off. Like, all the bands gathered at the same hotel so the bus could pick us up.
Yeah.
And the first people I meet are like Boehner, Duba, who was filling in for Carcosa on drums, and he's a fucking legend. I love Duba. And Charlie from fucking Suffocation, who was off his head. And like, I see Boehner, and Charlie's just loud and drunk, and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna stay away from this guy for a bit. And I just see Boehner's wearing this like Evangelion side bag, and I'm like, nerd, that's a safe person. I'm gonna hang out with this guy. It was like 2 weeks in, I see people coming up to him at shows being like, we get a photo with you, I'm like, fuck, Boehner's like kind of famous. And then you're like, he's a YouTuber, bro. He's massive. And that's when that sort of...
He doesn't need to do the band.
No, he doesn't.
The
He
band
has
is
said
just
that.
kind of like, it's fun. Like,
He
I can just
actually
do that.
doesn't enjoy touring that much. He likes being at home.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I mean, fair enough. All his stuff is there. He's got 100 million guitars. Why would you want to leave? But yeah,
really cool guitars.
yeah, he does. He got one handed to him on that tour. Like, some dude's just like, yeah, I made this for you. It's like, fuck.
That's loose.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, yeah, we smashed that tour out, and then while we're on that tour, we get the offer for direct support for Thy Art. So it's come full circle. We've done our first show ever with them to direct support Australian regional tour.
Yeah.
That
that
was
only
crazy.
just wrapped up, right?
Yeah, like what, a month ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
something like that.
Second last weekend of July, I think last show was in Hobart.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think the first single for the new record dropped, and I was like scheduling out kind of like July and August and September for guests, and I was like, oh, I'd like to have Melancholia on the show. And then I think like as I went to go like pitch like dates and stuff, I saw that tour announced, and I was like, nah, they're gonna be on tour for like fucking 6 weeks. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll get them after.
Oh,
And
we
here
always
are.
try and get in. I'm glad that we're here, dude. Though
Yeah.
it's so sick to come in and talk about this stuff. But like, yeah, we jump on this tour, right? And it's the longest Australian tour any of us have ever done. Like, it's most
There were like breaks between the different like
there's way
sections,
more
right?
shows too. Like, so typically you do an Australian tour, it's like at most, if you're doing a full Australian tour, you're doing like Brisbane, Sydney, maybe Canberra or Newcastle, and then you do Melbourne, Adelaide, and maybe Perth. And it'd be shocking if you did Tassie as well.
Yeah.
But like, this is a regional run, and it's pretty much all the East Coast major cities. So from Cairns all the way down to Hobart. And that was probably my favorite Australian tour we've ever done.
Yeah.
I only got the start and the end.
Once again.
My best friend's from school he lives in the Netherlands, and
Right.
he was getting married.
Oh,
So,
of course.
yeah,
He
You
couldn't
gotta-
miss
you
it.
gotta go.
We
I
were
was the
basically
best
like,
man.
you couldn't miss it. Yeah.
I had to go do the best man speech and do all that sort of business.
Yeah.
So I went up to Cairns. We did all the way through to Mackay, and I left that
Incredible.
morning, went to work, and then flew to Europe.
Yeah.
10 days, came back, went to work, drove to Ballarat.
Then we did that.
With the
Just-
boys.
It's just topped and tailed.
Yeah,
this whole
exactly.
tour.
Yeah, pretty much,
incredible.
So we had this weird interchange going on. So the first week Billy wasn't there, he couldn't do it, and Toby was. So I was like, perfect. Last week Billy wasn't there. He did the Chelsea show because it was around the corner from his house.
Yeah.
And then Toby was back. So it was just like we had Toby first week, Billy in the middle too. Toby on the last. By the end of that tour, I'm like, I never want to do that again in that side.
We had one show as a full band.
Yeah, no, we had two.
Oh,
We did
two,
Ba-
'cause
yeah,
you
because
came to Ballarat. You did, you
all
did.
of a sudden, like, I get a call from Billy the day of the Ballarat show. He's like, "Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm going to come play the show tonight." Like,
Incredible.
unreal. But yeah, then we wrapped that up, and it's just kind of been like focusing on rollout of the album in between doing that. To like, so from Suffocation tour to now, it's just been like tour album. We were like balancing, trying to get our heads around organizing both of these things at once, which is typically the way that things work when you're in
Yeah.
a touring band. It's just sort of hitting a bit harder these days.
Yeah, I can imagine. We
Yeah,
were
yeah.
kind of talking about this off mic, but I was watching a previous podcast interview that you did with the Brutality podcast.
Shout out those boys.
Shout out to the boys. Fantastic interview. They really kind of just let you run long talking about the history of the band. And one of the things that I found like particularly insightful was that like you really understood and kind of like executed the vision of like we'll have everything ready to go before we hit go.
Yeah.
So that way like the Greyscale connection, the Nuclear Blast connection, the management, the booking, all of that stuff falls in line fairly effortlessly.
Yeah.
Because you have this kind of, for lack of a better word, product kind of ready to go.
Yeah.
Like you guys are established. You have played in bands before. You're not going to get fucking nerves or cold feet. Like, you know what you're doing. The band has the songs. You've got the album. Like, all of the pieces are there. So there's none of this, like, growing pains. We have to wait. We have to level up our shit. It's all ready to go. I guess I'm interested to know, like, where do you think that positioned you in terms of, like, your peers and other bands? Like, because I would imagine there's some people who would be like, oh, they didn't earn that. Like,
Yeah,
they've
I've seen some comments.
they've just kind of like walked into all this stuff. But like that obfuscates a lot of the work behind the scenes. Because in that interview, you talk about the first record being recorded in 2021.
Yeah.
So like, there's years of work to
Yeah.
get Melancholia to where you needed it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you feel any resentment against people who are like, you didn't earn it?
No, to me, it's just kind of funny. It's just like I think you just don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. I've seen comments from not people I'll name, but like people who are in the scene. I've seen that over the years, and I just sit there and laugh. It's just like I don't think you know what you're actually talking about.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just one of those things. It's like we're old enough now to know what to do,
Yeah.
and it's like why would we just like when we're trying to actually make something of this? Why would we just throw it in and give it a crack. I would rather come in more prepared than ever,
course.
than anyone else. Like,
I mean,
it's art. It needs to be finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like any other job, you would approach it the exact same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you don't, I don't know, walk into a doctor's surgery and be like, "Oh, just learn on the job."
Yeah,
like,
no, you got to be prepared.
There's years of training and preparation before you get in there, so you know what the fuck you're doing.
Absolutely.
You walk on stage, you know exactly what you guys are doing.
Exactly. And I mean, to be fair, this is only the second band I've ever been the vocalist for. So, like, I am more of a guitarist. Well, probably not anymore. I was more of a guitarist than a vocalist. And, like, me and Toby have been, like, in particular, like, all of us, everyone in the band, but me and Toby that I can speak on, have been doing the grind, the local shows, the weekenders for 10 years together.
Yeah.
So it's like we know what works, we know what doesn't. Why would we actively keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result?
Yeah.
We're going to come in as professionally polished as we can to show people that we mean fucking business.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is too, like, artistically, like, I don't want to show something to the world that's not where it should be at the end of the line.
Yeah, I completely agree. No, I think, like, for me, like, I guess I'm not really from Victoria originally, so, like, I don't know a lot about, like, the local history and, like, earlier bands and that sort of stuff. So all of that was an education piece for me. But I just remember when I heard the band for the first time and I saw you guys on flyers and stuff, I was like, who the fuck is this band? Like, where have they come from?
And that was it. It was like we came from out of nowhere, and that's sort of what I wanted.
And that's interesting.
Yeah. It's always
to
going
me,
to
I'm like, who the fuck is this? I want to suss this out.
Exactly. It'll get people talking. It definitely ruffles some feathers. And I know that just from being in a band back in the day and just seeing all these bands pop up. Like, we're not the first band to do this. So many bands will sit there, work their shit out before they take it public.
Yeah.
And that would happen back in the day. I'm like, who the fuck's this band and why are they playing 3 positions above us? And it's just like, just because they haven't been playing under that monkia, in that name, in that scene, like, immediately as that band, doesn't mean they haven't been there the whole time at shows or playing in different bands and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, like, Toby, like, I remember Drown the City, like, doing tours. Saw you guys at a Big Sound showcase in, like, 2016, 2017.
I was
like,
the most recent rendition, so it wasn't me.
But, but I mean, like,
they've been working for years.
Yeah, that's a band that's been around for ages.
Yeah.
So,
and Alex has now Make Them Suffer.
Of course, killing it, absolutely crushing it. Yeah, and I think, like, it really goes to show that, like, the strength of the Australian heavy music scene has kind of, like, built this foundation where it is possible to kind of, like, be that prepared and come into it and kind of, like, make those big leaps so early.
Yeah.
Especially, like, now that we've moved to Victoria, doing the show here, like, I look at bands like Terminal Sleep, Heaven's Gate, Bloom. Like, there's so many bands from here that have just, like, been able to make that jump and, like, go overseas and play, like, crazy shows and get huge label connections and stuff. And you guys are, like, in that kind of echelon of bands, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the new vanguard of shit, up with your Parkways and your North Lanes and your Amities. Like,
I think
it's exciting.
It's the difference between establishing yourself as a local band and establishing yourself immediately off the bat as a touring band. And that's what we did. Yeah. And I think all those bands you named did that as well. And I think that's what the difference is. Like, so a lot of these bands will come out and just play, like, a bunch of local shows, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, for some people, they don't want to make it their entire life. It's like a release or an escape, and that's so fine. That's sick, even. It's just not necessarily what we wanted to do. We were like, we want to tour. That's all we ever want to do. Like, at the point where I create music because I love creating, but I create it so we can tour.
Yeah.
Because it's the best fun I've ever had, and it's the happiest I'll ever be, is, like, on tour.
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, the ethos of the entire project, from where it goes, like, this is a touring band. We're not a local show band.
Yeah.
And that's just the mindset that some people have when they come out the gate. That's why they're prepping so far in advance. But yeah, it's sick to see it. Like, the scene is growing crazy for the amount of internationally touring artists we have now.
Yeah.
On, like, I guess a smaller scope versus, say, like, your Amities and your Parkways. We've got all these mid-level bands now that just shoot for overseas immediately, and it's unfortunately the only way you can really survive as a touring band. But it's sick. It's giving Australia an even bigger name than we already had.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I feel like there's proper recognition of Australian heavy music.
Absolutely,
that's, like, really ramping up,
and it's so diverse too. Like none of those bands that we named like sound the same. They all have like a different vibe and a different energy. Like it's not just like cookie cutter shit doing the same stuff.
And the craziest part is a lot of us run in the same circles too. Like David Wilder from Heaven's Gate is one of my best mates. We were hanging out with him like 2 weeks ago doing a wine and cheese board. And it's just one of those things because he's also one of those people that was in the scene for the longest time, playing in I Shall Devour and Iconoclast and stuff like that.
I supported him in Perth.
Yeah.
I was like 18, 19.
And then he came through with a similar game plan. It was like, we'll start a band, release it, and this is a touring band.
Yeah.
And I guess it speaks volumes for like all of us sort of people in these same bands that you named. Like we all came in with that same idea and just executed it differently, and it took off in different directions, different genres, but we're all very similar people in the same mindset.
Yeah. Speaking of mindset, I think that's an excellent point to jump off of. So thank you for hosting the show better than I would, Alex. There's a quote here in the press release for the new album, which we'll get to in just a second. But it says, quote, "We are bringing a fresh sound to an otherwise stale scene. You will not hear what we are doing from anyone else. We are setting the trend as we set the bar for modern heavy music. Love us or hate us, you will fucking remember us." It's a pretty definitive, declarative statement there.
Yeah, I'm an arrogant asshole.
No, you got to be. Like, it's a press release.
I'm a front man.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
I want to talk about that. So, what, in your opinion, is stale about just like general heavy music, maybe even Australian heavy music? Like when you say like an otherwise stale scene, what are you kind of thinking of, and what are you trying to set yourself apart from?
Without naming bands, I'm never gonna.
You can talk shit if you want,
no,
but you don't
want to throw
shades.
shades.
It's not a prerequisite.
I think this is something that is in the scene as a whole. Is like things like everyone looks the same in the band. Every mix sounds the same. It's just over the top, really punchy and super loud and aggressive. There's no dynamic. That kills me. Yeah. Like me and Toby particularly have come from a very metal background. Yeah. Sure, we are pushing more into like sort of a core adjacent world, but coming from that metal background, the mixes are so much more dynamic and so much more original in themselves. Like not one mix will sound the same. If you listen to like a prog death album and then you go listen to like a Blackened death metal album, they're going to sound completely different. Whereas like I feel like within the core scene as a whole, like the mainstream metal scene, your metalcore, deathcore, and I guess like poppier hardcore albums all kind of sound the same. I hate that there's a lack of dynamic in there. I think a lot of the songwriting from a lot of bigger artists seems to lack a bit of creativity as a whole, and I don't think that's necessarily a choice on their behalf. I think that comes down to like a mix of the mix. Yeah. And also everyone's had like a similar influence upbringing. So all of us are trying to sound like old Suicide Silencer or like, you know, and it's just one of those things I think people aren't looking as outside the box as they could be. Yeah. And it's not to say that there's no place for that kind of music. I understand that music for some people is the best thing ever. That's fantastic and good for them. And like props to these bands making these careers, because it's hard enough to make a career in music, but it just bores me to fucking tears. Yeah. Like I miss back when I was a kid putting on Slipknot Self-Titled and that production sounded like nothing else. The songwriting sounded like nothing else. People weren't scared to do something wacky and weird, and I think we miss that as well. There's a few outliers, exceptions. Bands like Omerta from America are fucking crazy, and they're thinking outside the box. It's stuff like that that I wish was more out there. So a lot of what I take in for writing, I don't necessarily go in there to think like, oh, I need to write something that sounds completely different. Yeah. I just make sure that I'm reaching out to places that I'm probably thinking that no one else is looking. And it's definitely not like at the forefront of my brain, but it's just the end result. Listening to it is genuinely like, I don't think anyone sounds like us. Yeah. I genuinely can't pick a single even like moment where I'm like, that sounds like that band. I know in myself what influenced it, but I don't think you can listen to it objectively and be like, oh, it sounds like this band or it sounds like that band.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And like, we'll get into the new record in a little bit, but like, you've definitely pushed the envelope from the first album. You've definitely made a concerted effort to not do the same album twice, which I always appreciate.
Can't think of anything worse.
And, you know, the sophomore record is typically like the growing pains record. It's like, well, we've had the debut. Everyone knows what the fuck we're doing. Do we do the same? Do we do the same slightly better? Do we do the pivot and do something fucking crazy? You've kind of done all of that in a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. Toby, I want to ask you though, before we move on, like, is there any kind of like trends or tendencies that you've seen in your time in heavy music that kind of just grind your gears a little bit and you're like, I don't want to be in a band that's doing that?
Yeah. What I was gonna kind of touch on was I feel since I started playing in bands, and that was like 2012.
Fuck, bro, 13 years.
Yeah, we at it. Everything like I was in. We called it a deathcore band, but it was kind of just heavy kill switch.
Yeah.
So what I found, and I'm a little bit over analytical.
Same.
Yeah. I feel like the last 10, 12 years, everything big in heavy music has been a different approach to metalcore.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So back then it was
that's way better than what I said.
very like I was really into gent phases and stuff. Coming out of school, I was like, I played in jazz bands, so hearing like early Periphery and all that sort of stuff, right up my alley.
Yeah,
that kind of washed over the metalcore scene, and every band was a genty metalcore band.
Yeah,
and then you had this awesome record done by Sworn In.
Oh,
2014 Death Card, maybe 2013.
Yeah. And
then you watched metalcore just become Sworn In for the next.
Yeah.
Well, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. There's brief moments of you watch the music scene kind of do flip in on it stuff. We'll like some people will come around and go, oh, I'm just going to dabble with a black metal band real briefly, and then they kind of come back to it. Or there's like my favorite of the more recent years is the big flow into like dirty old death metal again. Everyone was repping HM2s, talking Fuming Mouth. I would put Fuming Mouth in there. There was Gate Creeper. There's I'm going to mess up the pronunciation, Sanguisugabog. All those, the Maggot Stomp area. And how big that got recently was really refreshing for me. But I feel like even watching it now, people are still shifting back to the metalcore basis. And that's just something I haven't really wanted to do. I like that music. And there's standout bands in there that I absolutely adore. I go and listen to it all the time. Like, and even new bands like that Holy Water band that's out at the moment. I reckon that's phenomenal.
Oh, their marketing is so good.
Oh, they're killing it. And it's like, again, that's a whole image marketing. They're very smart. But I never wanted to do the metalcore thing again after my first band.
Yeah. I think like that's something that we could do an entire podcast on, because like I'm trying to like essentially write a book about the evolution of metalcore. I even have a chapter in this published book right there that's not on screen, but I'm getting to it. I'm going to work on some shit. You'll see it later. But yeah, like people don't really think of it in like this historical kind of way, which I definitely have been, but like metalcore as we know it has been around for like 3 decades. That's a long fucking time. So like there are all these different evolutionary kind of like points that you've kind of touched on where the sound kind of like subtly shifts, brings in different influences, and then different regional scenes will pop off, and then people start to do the revisionist stuff and they go back. And like for me, I'm a mid-2000s metalcore guy. I'm always going to be. So like that shit is my jam. That's the stuff I listen when I go to the gym. Like that's just like my comfort place. But I still like finding new bands and listening to bands kind of reinterpreting that sound. We had Blood on My Hands on the show.
Dude. Yeah, they do that.
And they're doing just like Undying Worship from like the late 90s and early 2000s, which is like a sound that I don't really hear people do much anymore. So like that's fucking cool and fresh. But like,
Dylan is awesome.
yeah, like friends of the
Carrying the
show. But like,
torch.
Dylan was in the studio here, and he was talking about how like "Killing with a Smile" is like his favorite record and the
It's
most
unbelievable
most
record.
influential record for him and his journey. So like, yeah, I think you're right. That stuff has been done. So like, if you're looking further afield, you want to try and like find some new ground to walk through. And I like, to Alex's point, like get a bit weird with it. Do some shit that's a bit left of center, that take some risks.
Yeah.
I think like if I had to answer my own question, I would say not enough people are taking risks.
Yeah.
And we have a music scene and a social media kind of apparatus that doesn't reward risk.
No, it doesn't.
No.
But and that's
So-
the thing, right? So like to me, true genius lives on the edge of cringe.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
people are too scared just to be mocked.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the thing.
100%.
I'm not scared for people to think that what I'm doing is cringe, because what I think we're doing is badass.
Yeah.
So I could not give a fuck what anyone on the internet thinks if they think, oh, that vocal thing he did was a bit cringe, or that lyric was cringe, or like that synth was cringe. I'm like, cool, you can think that if you want. I think it's badass, and at least I'm trying something different.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't bullied enough in high school, and it shows.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, let's talk about the new record. The tagline that I saw for the album, which is called Random.access.misery, out on August 29th through Greyscale and Nuclear Blast, links in the description, all that sort of shit. But the tagline that I saw in the promo was Blackened New Metal. And that immediately got my brain firing, because I was like, those two things don't go together.
Exactly.
I was like, those two things fucking hate each other.
Yeah, they do.
So, Mastermind, Alex, what's the vision behind Blackened New Metal?
To me, two of the most polarizing genres in all of metal history.
Yes.
Like you said, they do not go together at
No.
all. Yet,
It's like oil and fucking milk.
But for some reason, right? Something that, for some reason, right? The thing that is very common within our band, we all love black metal.
Yeah.
And we all love new metal.
Mm.
And I found myself at times falling into these phases of, like, we already had like a Blackened established sound.
Yes.
Especially like vocally, that is
The first record has that to a T, for sure.
exactly. And like vocally, that is typically what I'm lumped in with the most, is like that black metal sort of vibe.
Yeah.
I found myself when we were writing for this album, not only was I writing riffs that didn't feel like deathcore anymore, and they didn't feel like black metal, and they kind of had more groove orientation to it.
Yep.
I started messing around with DJs and stuff like that. Like a lot of sampling was going on, and I was like, this definitely doesn't feel like what it was on the first record. And I found myself really leaning back into listening to new metal. I really, at the turn of like, because I started writing this, it was while we were negotiating contracts with Nuclear Blast. That's how
Yeah.
long I've been writing it
Well,
for.
I mean, if the first record was written and recorded in 2021,
yeah,
and then you're getting the band off the ground as a touring thing in 2023,
yeah.
you're probably already writing.
Yeah, I
new
think
shit.
we were probably 8 songs into writing
Yeah.
by that era. And I had found myself really, at the turn of the 2020s, listening to the stuff I grew up listening to a lot more. So I'd gone back to Slipknot, self-titled.
Sick.
I'd gone back to Deftones, Around the Fur, and White Pony. And going back to one for me and Toby is Mudvayne LD50. Or you're more the beginning, the end of all things to come. You're all of it. Lost and found.
I'm an LD50 guy because I'm a bass player.
Yeah.
But as a whole,
Yeah.
Lost and Found, start to finish, bang.
It does bang.
It's their pop album.
I
It
admittedly
slaps.
like only really fucked with LD50 as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was never fully. See, this is the thing. I was never fully into Slipknot, but I had an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
But I was also like leaning more towards Mudvayne and LD50.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just like stopped with like the Mask new metal thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just kind of like moved on to other stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely have an appreciation for both of those points. There's one band in particular that I see a lot in the visuals, and I hear it on the new record, and I suspect that you're a fan, Alex. Are you familiar with Spine Shank?
Dude, the music video for All Is Rust was a direct like attempt at me and Carl, who shoots our videos. We were like, we want to do Synthetic by Spine Shank.
I was like watching it, and I was like, if this motherfucker doesn't know about Spineshank, which I find very hard to believe, I was like, he's like shot for shot recreated fucking synthetic. And I was like, that's incredible.
Dude, the start of Spit, the very first drum beat, is the first drum beat of synthetic.
Yeah, dope.
Yeah, I wrote that. I'm like, I'm going to put synthetic in there.
Yeah.
That actually came upon me and Carl Stella from Gravemind. He's also a videographer for Stellar Media, and he has been for every music video we've done.
Yeah.
We used to live together for like 5 years,
Okay.
and me and him, at the start of COVID, it started. We'd get like 2 bottles of wine, get drunk, and just watch old music videos. And we would watch Synthetic like 4 times a night and be like, this is the best music video. And it just got to a point, it's like, let's just recreate it. Fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, Spineshank was absolutely in that sort of me leaning back into what I used to listen to as a kid. It's my older brother. Me and him came up in music together.
Yeah.
Both loved nu metal growing up. That was our upbringing. So I was going back to bands like that, going back to Spineshank, going back to like Edema, which is like a deep cut for people who don't get. Yeah, like Korn even. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a big Korn.
yeah, you are a big Korn guy.
I mean, yeah.
yeah, it checks out with the bass.
Considering with what you're doing on stage, like that's a reference point.
Yeah, and fucking yeah, just bands like that were sort of more in what I was into while we were writing this. So it kind of made sense that I was like, I want the eeriness of black metal. I want the evil sound of black metal.
Yeah.
And I want to combine that with the groove and attitude and style and execution of nu metal.
Yeah.
As well as like vocally, I had gotten to a point where it's like, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm sick of doing deathcore vocals, because my main vocal set is a high scream. And
Yeah.
it's typically in line with black metal and deathcore. And I think that'll probably always be my main scream type thing. But I'd gotten sick of the vocal Olympics that you see in deathcore. Everyone's like, oh, who can sound like the most like a goblin? Like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
And like, as soon as it's like, and that was the thing. Like, as soon as I had learnt, like, it was almost seemingly as soon as I'd learnt that tunnel throat technique that everyone does now, it just seemed that everyone was doing it immediately. I'm like, oh, this isn't fucking cool anymore. So I stopped doing it.
I mean, it's the thing we just talked about. Like,
yeah.
if everyone's doing the thing, where's the joy in doing that thing?
Yeah,
Like,
where's the growth?
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
is the exploring?
how much more goblin can you fucking
Exactly,
get?
and it's like, why aren't we taking things to uncomfortable places?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to blend these 2 polarizing genres that don't have any business belonging together, and let alone like the fan bases hate each other.
Yeah.
But yet, ironically enough, we're that fan base of both of them. Our whole band loves both of those genres.
Yeah.
So it just kind of naturally came together with that mindset and what I was listening to. It just all started to come together. And I remember just being at one point I was writing a song and I'm like, I feel like this needs DJ scratches. And that was the moment where I really took a step back. I'm like, I don't think I'm writing deathcore anymore.
It was funny, like I was listening to the record and I was like making notes and like obviously hit the singles, and then there's a couple of like deep cuts on the record that really stood out to me. But I got right to the very end to is it Cold Now? Yeah. And I was like doing other shit. So I had the stream like in a different tab and I was like doing stuff. And then the scratches came in and I was like, I just laughed.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's absurd.
I was like, oh, okay. I was like, there's been like subtle nods to the nu metal stuff. And now it's just like blatant. It's
Yeah.
like, no, we're going to put a fucking scratch on
Yeah,
there. Like,
shout out
fuck you.
DJ Hob G. He did all the scratches on our
Talking
new
goblins.
album. Yeah, his name is DJ Hob G. He fucking rocks. He's from
Incredible.
Adelaide. He actually scratches for I think they're called Hybrid Theory or Meteora. I can't remember. They're the Linkin Park tribute band.
Fuck yeah.
And he also does a Limp Bizkit tribute band.
That's
he fucking
sick.
rules, man. But yeah, shout out him. He killed it with the scratches on this one. But
Will you ever do it live?
If we've got the budget.
Okay. All right.
Like,
All right.
because we'd have to fly him out for a whole tour. There's no way I'm doing that for one show. We're doing it for a whole tour if we're doing it.
That's so sick.
But yeah, it just felt like, once again, it was touching on like it wasn't doing something different for the sake of doing something different, but it just very much cemented in my mind that I and we are not really interested in regurgitating the same tropes that are already out there.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, I've literally never heard of a Blackened nu metal band before.
No.
I Googled it and I couldn't find anything about it. So I was
Yeah,
like,
and again, like that's the thing that stands out. That's the risk
Yeah.
that we're talking about, is like you might conceive of that and pull it off, or maybe you don't. but at least you've taken that risk.
Yeah, and then if not, back to the drawing board to see what else I can make uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think it's like recognizing that those uncomfortable places, those fringes, are where like the real creativity sits.
absolutely.
And where like, you know, it might not all be gold, but at least there's some gold there.
Yeah.
It's about paling
Yeah,
through the dirt to
absolutely.
find it.
Yeah, 100%.
Before we move on, Toby, when you heard the material that Alex had put together for this new record, being the bassist, obviously nu metal has more of a rhythmic, groove-oriented component. But you're just like, all right, I get to slap at the bass.
It was
now,
almost
let's go."
calculated to get Toby in the band.
It made a lot of sense why he wanted to play with me again. Because our band prior, Noir, was like, we called it melancholic death metal.
Yes.
But it was essentially like if Tim Burton did a deathcore
Okay,
band or
nice.
death metal band.
Yeah, right.
Definitely
And
more death metal.
all of that was me doing weird double thumb slap stuff under very creepy guitar riffs.
Yeah, great.
So as soon as there was a bit more bounce and everything like what he had prepped,
Yeah.
I just kind of sat down and learned all the guitar parts and went, well, nu metal is drums, melody, smash it together.
Yeah.
I listened to a bunch of Mudvayne again. I was listening to a bunch of Korn. Halfway through, there's Scabs, picking Scabs. I was specifically listening to Jofra Cowboy's new album
Yeah,
when that
you
came
can hear
out.
it.
So there's that one section in there with a little walking bass line, and that was just because I was listening to way too much Moon Healer.
Yeah. Those new records are so good. It's
Moon
crazy
Healer
how like proggy they got.
Yeah.
Which is like, I listened to the Doom fucking EP the other
It's
day.
so far removed now.
Because like that's 20 years old.
yeah.
Yeah.
That made me feel fucking ancient. But I listened to that and then I was thinking about those most recent records, which are phenomenal. But like the growth of that band.
Yeah.
Insane.
That, in particular, Sun Eater, when me and Toby, we lived together for a few years.
It's when I first moved over here.
Yeah,
It came
that
out.
was all me and Toby listened to for like nearly the entire time.
It makes you feel sick, but I'm some bitch.
With the new record, the title, Alex.
Yes.
Random Access Misery.
Yes.
I like the little like play on RAM.
Yeah.
But where does the title come from and what does it kind of mean in terms of the context of the record?
It was definitely spawned by me, like, because I do this thing when I finish a demo and when I save it for the first time.
Yeah.
I have to think of the title of the song then and there, and I'm not one of those people that does like funny pre-pro song titles.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever I name it is more than likely going to be the name of the song. And when I finished that one, all I could think of in my brain, I'm like, what's something that's like, because like the aesthetic of it is of the record is very cyber and Y2K, and
Yes.
it's very early computer like geared generation, right? So I was like, oh, what's like a play on like a computer term? And I was like looking at my computer, and I'm like, there's like motherboards and all this stuff, and I was like RAM, and I was like RAM stands for random access memory, and I'm like random access misery straight up. And then I kind of assigned a meaning to it,
Yeah.
which is typically what I do.
Okay.
So I'll write something and then assign its meaning.
Yeah.
Basically, from what I've sort of put together with that is like, you get like those random moments where you'll be having like a fine day, like there's nothing really bringing you down, but you know, those with depression understand that out of nowhere you can just get a wave
Yeah.
of just like, oh, cool, now I'm miserable, and I'm miserable for the next X amount of time.
Yep. That was
and that's
literally me yesterday,
yeah,
but
it just
I'll get to that.
happens. It pulls out of nowhere, and it's random.
Yeah.
So, and that's sort of where I've kind of interlinked it. It's like random access misery, like the misery accesses you
Yeah.
randomly. And that is what that song title and largely what the album is about. I mean, obviously there are themes and certain storylines that delve in and out of that, but I think typically as is with all of our music, it's always touched on mostly being about mental health.
Okay.
But yeah, that's probably what I would say the meaning of that is.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's kind of, without knowing that information beforehand, that is kind of what I picked up through the record.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of passes through lyrics when they're decipherable. Other things I've kind of latched onto. I want to touch on the aesthetic for a little bit because, like, as you mentioned in other interviews, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit, like the aesthetic of the band, the kind of creative vision of the band is very important and very like dialed in, very locked in, very considered. So with this whole like Y2K cyber kind of aesthetic, how does that play into the themes of the new record? Is it just shit that looks cool, or is it like kind of drawing on, I don't know, like current events or things from your childhood maybe?
It's definitely just like that Y2K era. It's the MTV era. And I feel like all of my favorite artists really, and the larger than life sort of artists, they always had like a very specific image. Look at Slipknot.
Yeah.
I mean, like look at Rob Zombie. Like all those sort of people, they always had like a very specific look. And I think what we sort of did on this record, like we had our very specific look on the first album and it was black, and then there's obviously a very big difference now, we're wearing all white.
Yeah.
I think nearly all of my favorite artists from that era also had an era where they flipped it and started wearing full white, and I foreshadowed this in an interview very long ago that I said that all white is as goth as all black.
It is quite the statement.
Yeah, it is. It's about being bold, and I think that's what the goth aesthetic is in a nutshell. It's about darkness as much as it is about being bold.
Yeah.
And I think white is such a stark thing, especially with the black body paint still underneath as a contrast. It's a very strong, stark look. But like in terms of like all the cyber sort of stuff, I just likened, like, I guess we've got like a theme of white, blue, and chrome. And the blue and the chrome felt like very cyber to me.
Yeah.
Especially if you look at how a lot of horror movies and stuff are color graded back in that era, and that's a big influence
like
on
the
it.
First Resident Evil movie.
That movie is such a big influence on this album. It's crazy, and I'm glad you said that. I love that movie. Anyway, that's really taking me off guard. I'm thinking about Resident Evil. It rocks so hard. Basically, it is just like that's the interpretation of the cyber side, and the white side was just, I felt this was our white era.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of anime as well when we were writing this. I'm a big anime guy.
Yeah.
There's an anime called Ergo Proxy. The main character wears a very similar tone of blue eyeshadow to what we're wearing.
Okay.
That's 100% where it came from.
Right.
So it all kind of like pulled together from that, and mostly thematically, I'd say it's all come mostly from stuff back in the day that we grew up watching and loving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just felt like this was our white era. That's probably what I think it is aesthetically for this one.
And I think like to kind of touch on the stuff that we talked about previously with like taking risks and wanting to like differentiate what you're doing artistically and creatively, like coming from the heavy music scene, the alternative scene, like we love black.
Yeah.
It's black, black, black for pretty much fucking everything. I look in my wardrobe and it's like 90% black shit. Yeah. So like you get to a point, you know, in your 30s where you're like, I own too many band shirts. I have too much black stuff. I need to like kind of differentiate a little bit. I need to take some wardrobe risks.
Enter the suit jacket.
and enter the jackets. But like, I think for you guys, the aesthetic component then is a reflection of the musical component, right?
Yep.
Like if the music is being creatively daring and taking some risks sonically, aesthetically, you're like, all right, well, let's flip everything on its head. Like if we were doing all black, now we're doing white.
Yeah.
We're going to go different color scheme. We're going to do a different kind of theme. And I think it all, again, is just like so considered and so like dialed in, which I think like not a lot of bands appreciate how important that can be.
To me, it's as important.
I know.
Like I can't think of anything worse than another Black Hoodie band. Like I'm so sick of it. But like, and this is the thing too. Like when I write music, when we do have like the unique circumstance where not only am I the vocalist, I'm like doing the bulk of the actual songwriting or the layout of it at least. I'm thinking in colors and schemes and visuals when I'm writing music. Like if I write something and I can't visualize something, it's a throwaway riff. I'm not using it. And everything I was writing at the time in the demo stage felt like these colors.
Yeah,
It felt icy and it felt cold and it felt...
That's the black metal.
Yeah.
But also the new metal.
Yeah,
with
exactly,
with
right?
the
It's
chrome.
like, because I'm I look at new metal through a horror movie scope because that's how I was introduced to a lot of it. So
Particularly horror movie soundtracks.
yeah, Resident Evil, it's
Which
Spawn,
we will get to.
dude, so good. But yeah, like, and all of those sort of also visually in color were blue and silver and white.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just made sense that while like I was writing, these were the colors that were coming to my brain, and it's not a usual circumstance that I think a lot of bands have, because typically it's not a vocalist musician that's writing the music. It's usually like there's someone in the band that's writing, or the whole band writes together, and then the vocalist comes in. And because I guess a lot of the ideas are spawning from me creatively as a visual aesthetic as well, it's all considered all at the same time. I'm writing music and all of this is happening in my brain as we're going.
Yeah.
It's not like we've done this, what should we look like for this video, or what should we do? It's like the visuals are there while I'm writing it.
Yeah, you're like dreaming in storyboards.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to talk about the record in a little bit more detail, specifically some of the deep cuts. So you've had 3 singles from the record.
Yep.
Had All Is Rust, Spit, and Picking Scabs.
Yep.
Yeah. And all very different sounding as singles, which again I think is very considered to kind of like show the breadth of the record. But there are a couple of deep cuts that really stood out to me. And by the time I edit this and publish it, the record will be out. So we're not going to spoil anything
Sick.
for
All right, cool.
anyone.
We can
So
talk
we
about
can
some
like
shit.
we can just dish on stuff.
Yeah, sick. Let's go.
I want to talk about I Can See Through the Hole in My Hands. I know from that Brutality podcast that's an Eternal Lord
Yeah,
reference,
dude.
which I didn't catch, but that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That one is like, for a lack of a better word, melancholic.
Yes.
Like, it really kind of like eerie
Yeah.
and spooky.
Yeah.
Is there anything going on there in that song?
That was the first song I wrote for the record.
There you go.
I think there was still a bit of deathcore in me.
Okay.
Because that song to me is like the most, that and All Is Rust feel like the most deathcore.
Yeah.
That
Kind of bridging the old record.
yeah, that
into
was
the new
what the
stuff.
entire thing was, and I think when
I listened to them back to back, by the way.
Oh,
so
cool.
like I kind
so
of
you get the vibe for it.
I kind of got that vibe.
yeah, and I mean, with I Can See Through the Holes in My Hands, I wanted it like, 'cause I knew at this point when I was writing that it wasn't gonna be what the last record was, but I knew I couldn't just immediately write Spit.
Yeah.
So I was in there like trying to find ways, I guess, to get it in line with the movement and direction we were going without pulling it too far away. So like I tried to keep it still like creepy. And vocally, it was one of the last songs I recorded vocally, I think. And I knew that I needed to keep some stuff in there, some elements that still felt genuine to our older stuff, but you could still see the direction we're going. So it's like one of the only songs that I do like actual low vocals in.
Yes.
I don't do a lot of that in the album.
There's also one track, I don't have it on my list here, but there's that one with just like
the pig squeals.
the stupid amount of
Rosebud
pig,
wrist.
stupid amount of pig
Yeah.
squeals. Another point where I started laughing, and I
Yeah.
was like, he's just dabbing on me.
Yeah,
He's just dabbing
that
on
was
me.
the whole point. I was like, I'm going to do something so crazy here. I think if you go back on my Instagram, there's a post where I'm actually pre-proing that section.
Yeah.
And it's just a 2-second video of me going, bree, bree. But yeah, I Can See Through the Holes in My Hands. It's still trying to keep it creepy. There's a sample in there at the end from the show Penny Dreadful. If anyone's ever seen it. I love Eva Green. She's a fantastic actress.
She's also just stunning.
Yeah.
Gorgeous woman.
Yeah, that was what
Gorgeous.
drew me to it immediately. But watching that, there's a scene, it's in the first episode where she's being possessed and she's standing in the middle of a table just saying crazy stuff about the storyline, about the guy's father she's talking to anyway. And she's going nuts at the very end of the song that's in there. And I was like, all right, so she's like possessed. This still needs to be kind of evil sounding.
Yeah.
So I'd go back through and refine stuff, add in atmospheres with like really cavernous reverb and stuff like that. But yeah, I think my favorite part about that song is there's 2 parts. So we've got like a submarine blip in there where it's just like, and that is something that's very old school. I think James Bond, like GoldenEye, has that.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, we put that in there and I pitched it down a bit so it sounded a bit more cavernous, and that's in between every beat of the verse. And during that verse section, I want to say it's Skin Ticket by Slipknot. The verse rhythmically, I am doing the exact same thing vocally, and that was very much planned. Like I am such a Slipknot fanboy. I was like, to the point where I want someone to try and pick every Slipknot reference in that album.
There you go.
There's so
You can
many.
do it.
There's
lot.
more than 10.
Some very on the nose.
Yeah, some
not so much.
Yeah. But yeah, like still trying to keep it creepy with that song for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Another one.
Two-step in it.
Yeah, it's got 2-step. Like I had a note on that spot. This is how broad the range of taste was in terms of influences. The 2-step section in that song, which crazy that we have a 2-step section.
I know.
The note in Reaper, like the recording program we use, the note said "Suicide Season Worship" because I love Bring Me the Horizon Suicide Season.
Great record.
And that yeah, fantastic. And that was what that was. It's just a very broad range in one song. Like it's got to be
Weird tangent. I was sitting in bed and Paige was like showing me TikToks. We have TikTok time before we go to bed. We share each other's algorithms and see what pops up. And there was this one video of like a German interview of Bring Me the Horizon. I think it's like Ollie and Lee. And it's like you can tell like some kind of just like amateur like music journalist, broken English, like one of those kind of interviews. She's like, "Oh, what were you trying to do with new album?" And Ollie's like, "Well, the last one was shit." And she was like, "Are you saying last record was bad?" And he's like, "Yes." And he's like,
So
he
blunt.
was like, "Count Your Blessings is shit." He's like, "I wanted to do something completely different."
Yeah.
So like, they're also a band that I think spiritually have always taken risks.
Yes.
Never done the same album twice.
Never.
Always thinking ahead of the game. Everyone's trying to like copy Sempiternal and they're off doing fucking
Armor and shit.
sax solos and shit.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see a kindred spirit.
There
there.
definitely is. I love Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely do.
I have a huge respect for it.
Totally.
As soon as I'm personally Sempiternal onwards was not for me.
Sempiternal's like where I pretty much actually no, that's a spirit is a fucking banger.
Yes, actually, I will agree.
But yeah, Armo did nothing for me.
Armo was the one that reignited my love for them.
Okay.
I think there's a couple tracks on there that I really
Couple of
enjoyed,
tracks for sure.
But I was definitely, as soon as we got to This Is a Hell, I was so into that. And then as soon as it wasn't that again, I had a big step back.
I saw them play like arena shows off the Armo cycle.
Yeah.
And like that was crazy to see like a band of that kind of scene get to that kind of level. That was awesome. But yeah, like I'm definitely an old head Bring Me the Horizon guy. Like I like the fucking EP, like the skunky,
edges,
dissonant, fucking
Frail
crazy
is
shit.
it, dude.
Dude, just the fucking panic chords constantly and
Yeah.
the type vocals.
Another one that I thought was dope is Lithia, featuring Hunter Young.
Yeah.
One of the more like interesting guest features. Not that Chris on Spit is not interesting, but he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
The Lithia feature. Tell me about Lithia. What's going on there?
We had a list in the band chat for the longest time. We knew we wanted guest vocalists, and we just couldn't agree on who it was going to be on any of the songs. Like, we'd have a couple would have some in common with each other, but I think the most common one that kept coming back around was Hunter. We never bothered to ask him purely because, like, the only connection that we have, which is a very minute connection, is me and him follow each other. Barely ever spoken to him, so I didn't really have like an in to talk to him. From what I can understand, like he does have, you know, a lot of personal health issues that I thought may have inhibited that. So I just didn't bother. I'm like, he's probably busy just doing his own stuff, and I understand. Like it's probably hard enough to do that for
I'm
him.
not familiar with him. So what project is he a part
Mood Ring.
And he's associated with Psycho Frame too.
Yeah, he is the guitarist of Psycho Frame. Doesn't tour with him.
Mood Ring, so fucking good.
Yeah, so
that last EP.
Dude.
Oh, yeah, dude, that was the one that got me.
So
Mood Ring.
fucking good. Anyway, okay.
So
now I'm on there. Okay.
So yeah, Mood Ring was like everyone in the band loves Mood Ring.
Yeah.
And like to me, they're one of those bands that's in that list of like pushing boundaries and trying something different.
100%.
Big fan of his producing, big fan of his production. We just never bothered to ask him, and it just got to the point where I just went, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna DM him.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna see what he says. What's the worst he can say is no." And I messaged him, and he's like, "Yeah, send me the song." So I sent him the song. He's like, "Yeah, this is sick. I'll do it." And it was so fucking easy. And
Sometimes being a reply guy That's all you need.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, and he was just, within like maybe a couple weeks, he just like sent it back. And I was like, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's
And
sick.
like, we're like getting so pumped about it. And I'm like, I'm going to have to sing this live. I'm fucked. Because his range is well out of my singing range. He's a very high singer. We've got ways around it, don't worry. But yeah, so that was sort of how Hunter came into it. And I knew when I wrote Lithia that was probably going to be a guest vocalist song. I just wasn't sure in what degree.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be a singing section. I didn't know it was where it was going to be. I'm just like, I think Lithia is going to be a guest vocalist.
It's also kind of an outlier on the record, and it comes at like pretty much like the midway point, like between, I don't know what the vinyl split is, but between like the end of side A or the start of side B, something like that. But it's interesting to me because like I kept thinking about like the whole like Blackened new metal thing. Like that song in particular doesn't sound new metal-y, doesn't sound black metal-y, it doesn't even sound like deathcore-y. It's kind of just like heavy and ambient and kind of like this like centerpiece on the record. Was that always by design?
That was the second song I wrote for the record, and it did not change.
Okay.
So, like, typically we have Declan, our producer. He will have a hand in a lot of what we do. He'll refine a lot of stuff. Nothing changed really dramatically. There's like a couple notes we might have moved.
Yeah. And other than the bass. There was bass
I should actually mention as a disclaimer, when I do say I write all the music, I give the songs to Toby and Mason rewrites the drums and Toby rewrites the bass completely. Like, I don't think there's a single bass thing that's the same, is it? Maybe some rhythms.
Spit originally was supposed to be, and then my ears weren't good enough, and I did it differently by accident.
Yeah, but like the rhythm was sort of the same.
Yeah, the rhythms.
Just so everyone does know, I'm not sitting here fucking on the drums and shit. I'll demo it out with like pre-production drums and like pre-pro bass, but I'll hand it to both of those guys and be like, that's your instrument, make it good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lithia was pretty much the same thing the whole way through, but I think it gave me two benchmarks, right? So I wrote, I can see through the holes in my hands, I wrote Lithia. And I went, okay, so the record can go as far melodically as Lithia, and it can go as far heavy as I can see through the holes in my hands. It sort of just gave me markers for where I can move. Whether, I don't think at the time that was really conscious of me. It's just what came sort of out.
Yeah.
But Lithia, to me, there's moments, I can hear moments of the more ambient sort of new metal stuff in there. Like that, to me, there's a bit of LD50 in that song, and there's also a bit of maybe White Pony, Deftones.
Yeah, okay. I can definitely hear
but
that.
It's like there's other stuff that's pulled from in there, like Fallujah is in there, and they're like prog death metal, you know what I mean? And then there's like some Whitechapel in there, but in ways that I don't think anyone else would hear.
Yeah.
It's just how I've interpreted
I definitely
certain
didn't
things.
click to any of that. So
That main riff, the fucking octaves, the down, that for me has been pulled from Whitechapel self-titled.
right.
But I can't pinpoint where. I was just like, oh, it needs a Whitechapel self-titled riff, so I wrote that. But yeah, it definitely, to me, that was like sort of the marker.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
and I guess that's why it doesn't really fall specifically into either one of those categories. Like, to me, it's not metalcore, it's not deathcore. The only thing I could sort of call it, I was like, I guess this is Blackened new metal to me. It's got rappy sort of vocals in it at the start. It's kind of glitchy, and it's got the atmosphere, and also there's some eeriness to it.
It's just kind of heavy and grim.
Yeah, I think so. It's got a bit of World So Cold Mudvayne vibe to it when Hunter comes in.
There is a very silly Mudvayne style bass line under the synth.
Yeah, it
You
fucking
just
is.
can't hear it super well because it is very silly.
It's one of those things though, because it comes together with the music, it kind of just solidifies it in its own way. Like, if you did a different bass line there, it'd probably feel very different.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to put your finger on why.
No.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just, that song, we knew it was a single, I think, immediately too. That was even before vocals were on it. And I think that song took a really long time for me to write vocally because I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I'm like, this song has to be so intense vocally.
Have you guys shot a video for it?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought
That's the last single.
because I clued to that in the Brutality podcast. You mentioned doing like 5 videos.
4 videos. So we did 3 videos and 1 visualizer. But yeah, so...
I figured there was like one to come.
There
and I
was,
like,
yeah,
and I was like,
release date.
I was trying to like peg it, and I was
Yeah.
like, it could be the title track, could be Lithia. Not sure.
It's definitely Lithia. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think for a while there, we were doing a bit of a back and forth on what was going to be the singles. I originally wanted I Can See Through the Holes in My Hands to be the first single, but it didn't feel... like, I love that song. It's one of my favorites on the record, but it didn't feel like... It wasn't me trying to cater, I guess, to like algorithms, but I'm like, there's no clear mosh moment in this song, and I think that was because we definitely leaned more in on what was fun to play live on this record.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the clear mosh moment for this to be a big single?
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like it had it. We tried adding in a breakdown to that and then ended up scrapping it because it just didn't. I didn't want to just interject one because it felt like it needed it. Pulled it out nearly the second we put it in because I was like, nah, this just feels like we're trying to force it. Let's just leave it as what it is.
I think All Is Rust is definitely the better single, and it definitely like sets the tone for the record. Like it's the opener. Like you definitely get a very clear impression of what the record is going to be. At least initially.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like wanders further afield as you go through.
And I think with Rust, because I wrote that song specifically as the opening track. I'm like, this is going to be the opening of the album. This will be how we start our set.
Yeah.
And that's why it's got that, that long, eerie intro and stuff like that. Very telling of, I guess, what is to come.
Yeah.
But
back to the storyboards. Then.
Yes, exactly.
You're already kind of like planning it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, though. It's like I had written the first minute of that song. I had it written for like 6 or 7 months and hadn't moved past because I didn't know what to do. I was like, where the fuck does this song go? Shout out Carl Stella because I lived with the man. I got him to walk into my room and I'm like, hey, can you give me like a classic Australian style machine gun breakdown? Like just do the kicks for me. On like program the kicks. So he programmed the kicks, and that's how we got that breakdown. The fucking. So that's like the one outside of this band writing credit is Carl Stella.
Shout out.
Being that he was in Boris the Blade, it made sense. So, but yeah, Lithia definitely a bit of an outlier. I can see where you're sort of going with that one.
Yeah. The other one I had to talk about, we've already touched, which is the DJ scratching in Cold Now.
Cold Now.
But I like because that's like the penultimate track on the record, and then you have is it Colder Still? Yeah. So there's like those two are kind of tied together in a way.
Yep.
How does that kind of close out the album conceptually, like those two songs?
Okay, so I guess a nice little point to jump off here. The first thing I wrote before I ever picked up a guitar for this record was the piano at the start of Cold Now. I was laying on the ground after an unsuccessful writing session. Like I'd picked up my guitar, I'm like, this all sucks, and I was just laying on the ground. I had like my phone next to me with a piano app, and I was just, I don't know what I was doing. It was a really hot day. I was just on the ground, I was just going like that, hitting my phone, and I hit the first chord of Cold Now, which is like a dissonant chord. It's not like a traditional like minor or major. It's like, I don't even know what you would call it. It's just like a mash.
Some sort of diminished.
Yeah, it was just a mashing of notes, which is the first note of that.
Yeah.
And I went, hang on a sec. Started writing it anyway. And then I guess thematically, I wanted a version of that song that was super heavy, and I wanted a version of that song that was super sad.
Yeah.
So they were kind of both written with each other in mind. Obviously went in with Cold Now being heavy and colossal. We did have a fair bit of help, I'd say, from Declan. That's probably the most heavy-handed producing on the album.
Right.
I got a bit stuck on how that riff needed to come in, and Declan really pulled it together. We workshopped a few things, and it was an idea I brought to him that he made slightly better.
Yeah.
So
it's a Doom riff.
Yeah, it is just a Doom riff.
I was in a Doom band. I love Doom.
Yeah, so it was just like a massive fucking riff to open it, and I just knew that the next song had to be almost like the polar opposite, but with motifs of the first one in it.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of sections that sort of touch on each other where it's like build-ups that are nearly the same, but they'll be the chords are doing something different or the drums are doing something slightly different, but they're the same idea. And like even as far as that piano that's at the start of Cold Now and the piano that's at the start of Colder Still is the exact same, it's just in a different key. So, and they were sort of written together like that, and then thematically, lyrically, it's almost like the first song is the mania and the anger, and then the last song is the acceptance and end.
Yeah.
Without getting too dark. But yeah, they were written as like partner songs, and they were always going to be a part 1, part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool way to close out the record.
Yeah, they're my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fuck
or Random Access Misery onwards, the 3 favorite for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we can kind of move to wrap up the main show here. So the album comes out on August 29th. Again, plug, links in the description. Go stream it, buy merch, vinyl, all that good stuff.
Please do.
Run it up for the boys. You're obviously going to play the record. You have a headline tour that's been announced. First headline
ever. We always pushed it off and put it off until it felt like the right time.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of offers to headline shows and do things of that sort of caliber, but it's just like always been like, no, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. We need to make a statement. As is with everything we do, we need to make a statement with our first headline.
Yeah.
It needs to. We need the energy to ramp up to that moment. And yeah, this just feels like the right time.
Yeah.
You know, sophomore record, we've gone international. Like we were in Europe twice in 10 months, like, which is still insane
Yeah, it's
to
crazy.
think of. We've been on the road sharpening the axe, so to speak.
Yeah.
It feels like it's the right moment to actually show, I guess, who we are as an international touring band.
Yeah. I'll have the flyer and dates and stuff up for people who are watching the show and listening. But what's the set looking like as far as having 2 records to pull from now? Like, obviously, you want to play the new stuff because like people haven't heard it. But like, how are you building out the set? Because again, like, you're a very thoughtful band. I know these are things that have been considered probably to the nth degree.
Yeah.
So like, how's the set coming along?
It's the longest set we've ever done, as you would
Right.
assume.
Yeah.
It's a long set. Without giving too much away, it's a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, realistically, like, kind of sick of playing the old stuff. Like,
For sure.
Like, we'll always have respect for the fans that came on early on that really enjoy that sound. And there's certain songs that we'll probably always play. Like, I can't imagine us ever not playing Horror Ethereal. Like, that's just the song. But yeah, it's, all things considered, it's heavily on the newer stuff because we really want to show this new era.
Yeah.
And sort of the energy it's bringing. And yeah, it's just a chance for us to really reestablish what we are and what we're doing. And I think things that we've probably considered more would be like, what's the show look like rather than what the set looks like?
Okay. Yeah.
What are we sort of planning to make this like, not just, oh, you've seen us at this show and this show, what makes it different is like, no, well, this is a headline tour, so it's going to look different. It's going to have more interaction. There's going to be a different vibe to it. It's not just going to be, oh, they were the second band or they were the direct support and they were cool. It's, okay, we've come to watch this show to see what you're bringing to the table, I guess, in this new era.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably what we've considered most is
sick.
how it looks and how it feels.
And sonically, the new album is very in line. Like I'd argue more in line with the aesthetic.
Yes, absolutely.
Than the last
Yeah.
one.
I mean, it's a fairly melancholic record, which, I mean, it's like in the fucking name. So,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That'll always be a part of our sound. It's like no matter what direction we take, I guess like from what our riffs sound like, for example, there's always going to be that overarching feeling of melancholy.
yeah.
Why else would we be named that?
Outside of the headline tour, that's in September. Do you have anything else planned for the rest of the year? Anything that you can tease or announce?
We've got some stuff that we're talking about. Nothing that has been locked in solid, but it's, you know, it's been like pretty much the ethos of the band is each year is bigger than the last.
Yep.
Next year's looking like it's going to be a lot bigger than any year we've ever had. If things fall,
Okay.
if things fall the way that they need to, the way that we manifest, they will.
Want maxing.
Yeah, want maxing, as Toby has coined. Want max.
I fucking love that.
If they fall the way that we are planning for them to fall, it's going to be by far the biggest year we've ever had next year. So this year, I would say we'll probably try and wrap it up pretty tastefully without doing too much.
Yep.
But yeah, next year's looking like a pretty hectic one.
Hell yeah. I'm excited for you guys. The record bangs. It's sick.
Thanks, man.
I love seeing this concept kind of come to life. And I love to see the boys win it, you know, like having a plan and executing the plan.
Yeah. It's just nice when things come together.
It is.
Yeah.
Make it as theatrical as possible.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Make some noise about it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up the main show there. Toby, Alex, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for
No,
having us,
thank
brother.
you.
We
Thank
appreciate it. Thanks for the DCs. Fridge cigarette. Shout out, fridge cigarette. Yum.
Hello, Owen popping in to say, please sign up for the TPD Patreon. This is what helps us keep the lights on and keep the show going. The link is at the bottom of your screen right now, patreon.com/tpdpod. All of our patrons get exclusive access to Side B of our roundup episodes, so you get a few extra tracks, as well as our feature album discussion and the full show experience. Our patrons also get exclusive access to behind-the-scenes, off-the-cuff chit-chat from all of our guest episodes. But the patrons are the ones who make all of this happen. For as little as $5 a month, you can sign up to the TPD Patreon, and it really helps us out, really helps us keep the show going. So shout out to all of our patrons, shout out to our executive producer patrons, you're the real ones, and yeah, thank you so much for watching the show.